So in the last session we discussed about user. Okay, if you want to work as an implementation consultant to get full privileges on the instance, we require two roles. Those are application implementation consultant and IT security manager. These two roles we have to assign to the user so that the user will be able to do the setups with the help of FSM. And with the help of IT security manager role, user can get connected to security console. From security console, we can create the new users and we can assign the roles and you can create the custom roles also. When you get access to FSM, what we can do? We can enable offerings and options which is mandatory, and you can create implementation project and you can system would create the task list automatically, and you can assign the offerings and options. You can start working on the setups, you can update the status, and you can keep tracking the progress of the project. When you say progress of the project, it's nothing but setups which you are doing within the instance. And also you can create the configuration packages to move the setups from one instance to another instance. Already we discussed what is the meaning of offerings and options. Offerings are nothing but product families, options nothing but applications which are inside of each and every offering. So these are the few points we discussed. Now we'll go and see how to create the user. Okay, we'll see how to create the user.
Yeah, Lakshman, this in implementation project, the first step is to assign the offerings and option, right?
Assigning, not enabling.
Enabling.
Enable, then during the implementation project creation, whatever the offerings and options are already enabled, those would be available to assign to your project, or you can say those would be available to include into your project.
Okay.
Yep. First enable to select into your project. If you don't enable, those won't be available to select into your project.
Okay. Then what will be the next step? The IT security manager, creating the IT security manager.
Yeah, we discussed, right? If you have access to IT security manager, you can connect to security console. From there, you can create a number of users. Which user is working?
This IT security manager is also a user who will create this
That is a role. That is a role.
role.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every role will give the permissions for something. Application implementation consultant role will give you the access to FSM.
Yes, yes.
Manager will give you the access to security console so that you can do all this.
Two roles we have to create, I think, application implementation consultant, application implementation manager.
Yeah, application implementation consultant, IT security manager. These two roles we have to assign.
Just I was going through some other video like apps to fusion.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Not required.
They are saying that three roles we have to define. The admin will create the IT security manager.
1 second.
And then
1 second.
yes.
Not required.
Okay.
This is enough.
Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah, please.
See, when we are talking about the two instances which we get, and for the addition instance which we need to require if in case of the business, do we charge
Yes.
for that extra from the Oracle?
Correct. Oracle will charge extra if you need more than two.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Fine.
Is a mic voice? It's been low today. I have increased my speaker volume, but it's still a little low.
Maybe you have to check from your end. Okay, here I didn't change anything. It is same as yesterday or prior day.
Yeah, it's clear, Lakshman. So your
It's
voice
clear.
is
It's clear.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for confirmation. Yeah. But once again, check it. Once again, check it. Maybe somehow you have to manage with that to increasing the volume, etc. Try once again, please. Okay, done. Now let's get to the
one last question.
1 second. That is the reason I requested to raise your questions before I start with the core discussions. Anyway, okay, now you can go ahead.
See, regarding the offerings and when we enable this in the test instance, for not in your instance, the which you are providing, in the instance which has been provided to the client,
Hmm.
will that also get charged or no?
See, for which offerings and options you have a subscription from Oracle, you have to use them. You have to enable and you have to use. Say you take in the subscription for financials and HCM, but still SCM, PPM, procurement, CRM, etc. would be available. Okay, if you start using, Oracle will have an audit trail. If they identify you are using where you don't have subscription from Oracle, there will be penalty.
Not on the production. I am talking
Any
about the test
instance, that's what
instance.
I'm saying. Any I mentioned, any you mentioned whatever I am using. I am not talking about whatever I am using or you are using. Any instance which is going to be, I mean, if it is test instance anyway, that is not useful. That is for practice and training. But client instances, okay, it could be any client instance. Say especially production, you can point it. That is what they use. If any client is going to use the applications where they don't have subscription, there will be penalty from Oracle. They'll do the audit trail because the instances are managed by Oracle only. Easily they can track. And again, they don't support. You say you taken the subscription for financials, you will have an option to access HCM also. If you are going to use HCM, definitely if not today, tomorrow you will come across some issues. You have to contact Oracle to fix it. They'll check your subscription. If you don't have subscription for HCM, they're not going to support you. Then you cannot proceed from there. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine. Okay. Done. Any other questions? We'll see at the end of the session. Yeah. Now we'll just focus on user creation and other points. Okay. Now we'll go and create the user. So the first point is create user. We'll create user as ERPTREE. The second step is we'll assign roles to user. Which roles we have to assign, those points also we discuss. 2 roles we have to assign. What is the purpose also we discuss. The same we'll see in the system also. Okay, now we'll go and create the user. So now we'll go and create the user in this instance. Okay, this is a cloud instance. I'll share you the same instance for your practice. When you get this instance, I'll provide you one username and password. With that same user credentials, you can log into the instance and you can follow the same process how user need to be created. So here I am going to use one user which already I created in this instance. That is a FA admin 1. This is a user which I created already. I'm going to log in with this. I will provide you the different user. With that user you can log in and you can create your own user. Okay,
If anyone forget the password, how to retrieve in cloud? If anyone forget the password.
Okay. User level you can provide the email ID. You can click on forgot password. Then system will send you the link to reset the password to your email ID. We'll see all those things. We have to go through the user creation so that we can understand. Just log into the instance. Okay, now what is our target? User creation. If you want to create the user, once you log into the instance, we'll come to know all these. What here we are able to see what is the purpose, etc. But it takes some time to go through all those. Now it's not required. Our target is user creation. To create the user, here you have a bar icons, which we call as navigator. Okay, click on this navigator icon, bar icons. This is Oracle. You can upload any logo. Okay, any logo you can upload here. You can see this. How to upload and all we'll discuss later. But now click on this bar icons, which is a navigator. Click on those bar icons. So in this navigator, go to tools. Under tools, you can find security console. Okay, there is a task. Each and everything in the vision, what we perform, we call as a task. Under tools, go to task called as security console. Just click on security console task. It will take us to security console. Ignore this message and select users. Just select users. From here you can create the new user. Okay, once again we'll repeat. Okay, this is a cloud instance. Okay, you no need to install anything, no prerequisites, no plugins you have to install. You can connect to this instance from your smartphone also. From any device you can connect which is connected to internet. So we have a user called as FAadmin1 which I created. Don't think this is provided by Oracle. No. Sign in. And now go to navigator. Click on those bar icons. It will open the navigator. Whatever you see within this navigator, for all this user got access. How the user got access? The relevant roles are assigned. Which role, how and all will understand very detailed level. But now to create the user from this user, go to tools section. Within the navigator, go to tools. Under tools, you can find one task called as security console. Just click on security console task. Ignore that message. Okay, we should understand about this, but this is related to some separate concept. When we are dealing with that concept, I'll cover when this what is the meaning of this message. But now ignore it. Select users. And now you can create the user account. Click on add user account. Here you can provide the first name, last name, email ID, username, password, confirm the password, provide all these details. So first name is not required. I am going to fill the fields which are mandatory. Say username we need as ERPTREE. Things seems to that user somebody created in this instance. I'll create user as a Google. That also somebody created. Say one ERPTREE. Okay. The username I given the last name as one ERPTREE, and the username automatic system is defaulting the last name as a username. So if you want to have a different username, this is a person name, this is a username, you can keep as is or else you can change it. Now you can set the password. So you could see the password policy here. Place the cursor on that information. So simple, at least 8 characters, 1 number. Set password and confirm the same. And if you want to assign the roles to this user, you can click on add roles and you can assign the roles to this user. Already discussed, we have to assign 2 basic roles. Those are application implementation consultant and IT security manager roles. Those you can assign now or else you can assign later. First, let's focus on how to create the user in the system. Okay, we given last name, username, password, and we confirm the password. Now you can say save and close. System will create the user. Now you can find out the same user. What is the name we given? One ERPTREE. Search, you can see the record. The user display name is this, the actual username is this, and we didn't provide any email ID. And status of the user is active. The user account is not locked. And actions. Click on those actions. You can lock the account if you want to lock. If once you lock this account, user cannot log into the instance. You can reset the password for this user and you can delete the user also. Okay, Oracle should not provide this delete option, but somehow they provided. You will be able to delete the user. With that user, if you have any transactions or anything is done, that reference will remain as it is. Okay, this is a completely virtual deletion. Once you delete the user, you don't find from this screen. But with that user, whatever the activities you did, those will retain in the system. Okay, if you want to reset the password for this user, you can select reset password and say manually change the password. You can provide the password, which password you want to set. Say reset password. That's how you can update the password at any point of time. If you want to delete, you can delete. If you want to lock the user account, you can lock. If you lock, you cannot log into the instance with this user. Okay, this is what we can do. Now click on the display name or username. Any one of the name you can click.
Cannot inactivate the user. We cannot inactivate like end date by putting end date.
No. That option is not available. Only you can deactivate the user. You can lock nothing, but you can lock it. Okay. So you cannot give any end date for the user. Fine.
Sorry, Laxman, what's the difference between locking a user and deleting a user?
Okay. Locking user in the sense, user, you will be able to find the user from here. Okay. But you cannot log in with that. Lock account means you can have a user record here in this page, you can find every time. You can log. Maybe later you can unlock. Delete means the record itself you are deleting. It won't be available in this page. Okay, in the system, users record, this record will be deleted. Okay, you cannot access that user once again. That's all. Fine. Hope you got the point. So that is the difference between locking the account or locking the user account or deleting the user account. Done. Now just click on the display name or username and click on edit. Now you can assign the roles to the user. Which roles we have to assign? We discussed already. What is the purpose of the roles also we discussed, right? So these two roles we have to assign. This is the purpose why we have to assign. Fine. So okay, the two roles we have to assign, the purpose also we'll discuss. Now we'll assign the roles and we'll go and check the user is able to have access to FSM as well as security console because of these roles. Okay, so now we'll go and assign the roles to the user. To assign the roles to this user, click on add role. The first role is application implementation consultant. Just type as application implementation. Now when you type application implementation, you could see the different roles here. The application implementation administrator, application implementation consultant, application implementation manager. The same roles are copied. Okay, the same roles are copied. We have a application implementation administrator, consultant and manager. Which role we have to choose? We have to choose application implementation consultant only. The reason is the application implementation consultant can have full privileges compared to administrator and to manager. That's how Oracle is providing these roles. So no need to choose multiple roles as a manager, consultant, administrator. If you select application implementation consultant role, that's more than enough to work on the system. So select application implementation consultant role. Here you could see the role is same, application implementation consultant copy. That means what are the role Oracle is providing, the role somebody copied in this instance. The copied roles, ignore it. Whatever Oracle is providing, we have to select. The roles what Oracle is providing, the roles we call as seeded roles. Okay, the basic roles, the fundamental roles, whatever Oracle is providing along with the product, those we call as seeded roles. Okay, we can create our own roles also. Going forward, we'll see the process, how to do that, everything we'll see in the system. For now, simple point is the application implementation consultant, IT security manager, these roles Oracle is providing. What are the roles Oracle is providing? We call as seeded roles. Now just select this role, click on that record, it is selected. Now say add role membership. Just click on add role membership. The role is assigned. In the background, you can see that. Now we have to assign one more role called as IT security manager. Just type IT security manager. Okay. So IT security manager, you could see one more role as IT security manager, but there is a difference between two roles here. FND IT security manager, ORA FND IT security manager. Doesn't make any difference between these two. You can select any one of the role. Select IT security manager. So this is the actual role. There are IT security manager roles where somebody modified and copied, created as a new roles. But what Oracle is providing is this IT security manager. Select this role, click on add role membership, nothing but assign. Now click on done. We assign the two roles. Now you can say save and close. We created a user and we assigned the roles. Now click on done. Now user is ready with two roles access. Now you can log into the instance with this one ERPTREE user and will be able to access to FSM as well as security console. Now any questions from anyone please? If no questions, we'll go and check that.
Hi, Lakshman.
Yeah.
Assigning IT security manager, what is the purpose mainly
Are you
why?
attending today? I'm just asking the question. Somebody asked the question. I'm asking, are you attending today's session? You attended yesterday also.
Attended yesterday also.
Yeah. Then the same answer. What is the purpose of IT security manager? If you have access to IT security manager, you can have access to security console. If you have access to security console, you can create the new users and you can assign the roles to users and you can create the new roles. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Already we have seen how to create the user and how to assign the roles, right?
Sorry, Lakshman, before you go on, you did say that you don't need to assign employee to a consultant anymore. What's the reason behind that?
Yeah. The employee role you have to assign to employee users. Now your user, what we are creating, not an employee. There is no employee record, right? It is just user.
No.
Yeah. When you create the employee user, you will come to know that. Okay.
Okay.
That is the reason. Now what we are doing, we are creating the user for consultant. Consultant is not going to work for the company, right? It's just consultant to do the implementation. Of course, sometimes consultant may be employee. Right. So that is the reason you don't need to assign the employee role. When we have to assign the employee role, I will explain. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, Lakshman, Fazlur here, one question. The way we don't have access to ended the user, in the same way, is there even for the roles, is there option that we cannot put ended, just we can do deactivate or delete?
Delete.
Is it the same?
Delete. You can delete the roles. See here, go to that user, click on edit. You can delete the roles. Okay.
Okay, fine. So we cannot put ended here also.
No. Okay, only delete option. It could be user or user roles. You can just delete it. Done.
So Lakshman, in the previous versions, wasn't there an option revoke instead of delete?
Yeah, the term is different. Yes, in older versions they given revoke. Yeah. Okay, but action is.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Any other questions here, please?
Yeah, so when you are assigning the roles, we could see multiple roles like IT, admin, manager, copy, like that. So are these roles created using the same user or like fadmin, or is it something different?
No. This is if you go to security console, that is a full access to entire system. It can be created by any user, like say created by ABC user or XYZ user. But since you are in security console, you will be able to access to everything.
Okay, so which means I can create new roles also by copying the seeded roles.
Yes, exactly. You can copy and you can create new. Those also we are going to cover in our classes. We'll have one separate session to understand all those points.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, fine, thanks.
This is Mahesh here.
Yeah, Mahesh.
Their IT security manager is there, na? Under that code is there, ASM and ORA. What is the difference between that?
Okay. That I thought of discussing when we are working on custom roles. Okay, if the role code is starting with ORA, that you cannot edit. If role code is not starting with ORA, that you will be able to edit, even that is provided by Oracle. Right?
Fine, but I'm asking ASM.
Yeah, that's what. One, if I explain one other one, you can understand. ASM, ORA. If role code is started, say, IT security manager. For the same role, we have two different codes, right? Two records we have. One record with ASM prefix, other one is ORA. ORA starting role code roles you cannot edit. This you can edit. That's it. That is the difference. Inside privileges are same. In some instances, you don't find two records. Only Oracle is providing only one. Yeah. But if you want to edit, copy this and edit. Simple. But directly you cannot edit. See, which creates little confusion that I don't touch generally in the initial stages. Once we reach that stage, generally I just try to introduce. That is the reason I didn't touch that point. Ignore it. Ignore it. For now, try to understand we have to assign the two roles. One is the application implementation consultant, IT security manager. What is the role code for these? Doesn't matter. Assign exact names. That's all. Any other questions here?
Yeah. Can we create a new roles instead of editing the existing?
Yes, you
the way
can
we
create the roles from the scratch. From scratch, we can create the roles. So for that, we have a separate class. How to copy the roles, how to copy and edit the roles, how to create the roles from the scratch. We have a different type of roles also we have to discuss. Those all we have. Okay. We can do all those.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lakshman, can we enable single sign-on?
Yes, you can do that. Single sign-on you can enable for this instance. Possible. Any other questions about the user creation, please? And one more point, the user what we are creating now from security console, that user we call as implementation user. Remember, for implementation purpose, we are creating this user. That is the reason we call it as implementation user. There is another type of user called as employee user. How to create it, when we can create, those all points we will discuss. But as of now, you cannot create the employee user. You don't need to think about what is the difference between implementation user and employee user. Going forward, we'll understand. But simple point is, for now, what are the user we are creating from security console that we call as implementation user. When you get access to fresh instance, what are the first user you create that you call as implementation user only. Fine. So this is what we have to understand. Now, any questions from anyone, please? If no questions, we'll log into the instance with the new user, whatever we created. Whether this user got access to FSM and security console, we'll go and verify. Any questions, please? No questions. Right. Now just sign out and log in as a one ERPTREE user. Okay, we create a new user, we'll log into the instance with the same user. We give the name as one ERPTREE login. So this user, we assign the two roles. The first role is application implementation consultant. Because the application implementation consultant role, this role, user should get access to FSM. Whether this user got access to FSM or not, we'll go and verify. Go to instance. So to verify whether this user got access to FSM or not, click on username. If not username, next to that we have a arrow mark, down arrow, just you can click on that. Just click on username. It is opening on panel. Within the panel, you can see one task called as setup and maintenance. If you could see this task in this panel, you can understand this user got access to FSM. But anyway, we'll go and verify detail level. So if you assign application implementation consultant role to this user, you'll be able to see setup and maintenance task within this panel. Click on this setup and maintenance task. What is the purpose of FSM? To perform the setups, we can use the FSM. Now from this is the FSM page. Okay, now we connected to FSM. This is FSM environment. Now if you want to do the setups, from where you can do? Here you have to select. If you want to do the finance setups, select financials. The financials, you want to do the general ledger application setups, select general ledger. And here you can say all tasks. Now these are the setups which you have to complete for general ledger application. Same way, if you want to implement payables application, select payables and say all tasks. To implement payables, these are the setups we have to complete. See, all may not be mandatory, but those are the setups including mandatory and optional setups. So you want to implement fixed assets, select fixed assets. You can see all tasks here related to fixed assets. These setups you have to complete. So this is how you can find out the different setups from FSM. From FSM only we can create projects we discussed, right? So click on task list. Here the notepad kind of icon, what you see here, this we can call as task pan or task panel or say task list, because this icon contains multiple tasks inside of it. Just click on the same icon. Simply you can call as task list. From here you can go to implementation projects. From FSM only you can create implementation project. That's what we discussed in the last session. Click on manage implementation projects. Here you could see many projects already created in this instance. One instance can be used for only one company, not for multiple companies. If ABC organization is going to take the subscription from Oracle, only ABC company should use this. Maybe for one country or multiple countries, doesn't matter, but they have to use only for ABC company. They should not share this instance for XYZ company. Okay. Oracle is providing the subscription for only one client. Doesn't matter how many countries. So here you could see many projects. Since this instance is test instance, people are using this instance for practice purpose. That is the reason they created a number of implementation projects. When you talk about fresh instance, if you are going to work for your client, okay, if you are going to work for your client, in your client instance, you don't see single project also. Okay, you don't see single project also. This is how you would see the screen. If you navigate to this page, you will see the blank page without any projects. So from FSM here you can create the new projects. We'll see that. We have little bit time to start with the project creation. Just we are going through the areas to understand what we can do within the implementation project. As we discussed, from the FSM you can create the configuration packages. Okay, from here you can create the configuration packages. So this is what we have to understand about FSM. Okay, from FSM you can do the setups, you can create the project. Through project you can do the setups. Otherwise, without creating the project also, from here you will be able to do the setups. Okay, any setups you can do from this page, or else you can create the project and you can do that. Another point we discussed, we have to enable the offerings and options. Okay, after enabling the offerings and options, then only you can create implementation project and you can do the setups. From where we can enable the offerings and options? From here, go to actions. Here we have a action called as go to offerings. Select go to offerings. Here these all are the offerings which are available in this instance. One of the offering is financials. Okay, so this is how you can find the offerings in this instance. These all are available in the FSM. We'll discuss and we'll work on this, how to enable offerings and options. That we'll see later. For now, we are going through the various points which are available as a part of FSM. So any questions from anyone on these points, please? Okay, from this page we can do the setups. From this task we can create the project, and from here you can enable the offerings and options, and there are a few other activities also you can perform, already discussed. From this task we can do the create the configuration packages to move the setups from one to other instance. This user, the current user, one ERP user got access to FSM. We have seen all those areas. Now, other role which we assign to the user is IT security manager. This role should allow the user to have access to security console to create the users and the role assignment, etc. Now we'll verify our user got access to security console or not. From where you can check, you have to go to navigator. The navigator under tools, we are able to see security console. We are able to see security console means this user got access to IT security manager role. Then only we can see the security console. If you don't assign IT security manager role to this user cannot have access to security console. Click on security console. Click on users. Now from one ERPTREE user, you can create new user also. So that level of permissions this user got because of IT security manager. So this is what we have to understand. Any questions from anyone on this role related access, please? We will come to know more detail level going forward. In one go, if you try to understand many things, it will create unnecessary confusion. That is the reason I don't touch when, where, how we require to understand. Accordingly, we'll proceed. For now, this is what you have to understand. The purpose of the roles we discussed, the same we are able to see in the system for our user after assigning the same roles. Any questions from anyone, please? No questions. Just for our testing purpose, we'll create one user without assigning the roles, and we'll see how the user can have access to what. Okay. Just user _1. So we created user, we didn't assign any roles to this user. Now we'll log into the instance with that user. No roles are assigned.
Lakshman, this user is the normal user or the consultant?
Same, consultant user only. Whatever the user you create from the security console, that user we call as a implementation user.
Okay.
Employee users will create from the different place.
Okay.
Sorry. Just user _1 password. We know very well we didn't assign any roles to this user. Now go to click on username. Nothing. Okay, we don't see any setup and maintenance task here. Go to navigator. Nothing we have in the navigator. There are some default links. With this you cannot do anything. You cannot do anything. No setup you can perform. Okay. So now we'll just log into the instance with our username. Fine. Please go on mute. Okay. Somebody. Done. So we have seen user creation and roles assignment, and we verified the expected privileges the users got or not. Yeah. Now we'll see how to enable the offerings and options. Once you are ready with the user, the next step is you have to enable the offerings and options so that we can create implementation project. Let's see how to enable the offerings and options. Click on username, select task called as setup and maintenance. Okay, here go to actions, select go to offerings. Now there are various offerings are available here. Within this instance, we have financials, we have procurement, okay, we have order management, etc. Different offerings are available. Now select financials offering. So here you could see the description about the financial offering. The financial offering, just configure how you manage financial flows, including assets. That means the financials offering includes fixed assets option and ledgers. Ledgers is nothing but general ledger application. Cash cycles means cash management. Invoices and payment means payable application. Directly they give an accounts receivable. And collections, there is advanced collection application that we have, setting up subledger accounting and tax configuration. The financial offering, okay, contains all these solutions as a part of it. Now you can see the status of this financials offering is already enabled because this is a test instance. For testing purpose, somebody already enabled. Anyway, we'll go and see how to enable it. Another point here is you can see the related documents. About this financial offering, you can see associated features. As a part of financials, what are the various features are available, those you can see. For that, you can download the documents. Okay, the associated features documents are available in the PDF, HTML, and Excel format. Any one of the format files you can download, you can go through it. The same way, to implement financials applications, what setups need to be completed? The list of setups, Oracle is providing the document. Those formats are available with PDF, HTML, or Excel. The same way, related business objects, enterprise application, nothing. By going through this two different documents, you don't get any great information. That completely you can ignore, or else when you are practicing, you can download and you can see. Okay, now just let's download this associated features document to go through it. Just click on this PDF format. Say save file. Say OK. Go to downloads and open. So these are the list of features, very high level related to financials. Okay. So as of now, we didn't discussed about any features and all, right? So going forward, we'll come to know. But even if you go through this document, we cannot discuss anything. Okay, but just simple point what you have to understand is what are the various features are available as a part of financials from each and every application. Those details they given. This is one document. The same way, if you want to see what are the setups you have to complete to implement the financial applications, there is a separate document. You can download in any one of the format. So just select PDF. Select save file and say OK. File is downloaded. You can open that. Okay, more than 600 page document. So here you could see all the setups. We never do all these setups. Whatever we required, we do as per the implementation. But they given complete setups to implement entire financials from which application, what setup, whether the setup is mandatory setup or optional setup, the setup is belongs to which application, all the details they given. All the setups they given here. But when we are going to work on this, you don't need to verify these documents. If you know the product, if you learn the product, or if you know the product, you don't need to touch these documents. Straight away you can go and proceed with the setups and process, etc. You'll come to know each and everything. Fine. So this is how you can just download and go through these documents, and these other documents you can ignore. Now here, as of now, you can see the financials offering is already enabled. By default, you will see the status as a not enabled. So if you want to enable this financial offering, and inside of the financial offering, the options, what you have to do is you have to click on opt-in features. Just click on opt-in features tab. It will take us to the page from where we have to enable the offerings and options. Just click on opt-in features. So this is a page from where we can enable the required offerings and options. Now, since we selected financials, the financial offering system is showing in fresh instance. Okay, all you could see as a disabled. Since this is a test instance, already enabled for practice purpose. But if you are dealing with a fresh instance for your client, you don't see as these are enabled. These are all you can see in the disabled mode. Let me just disable all and we'll come back and we'll enable.
Lakshman, this is the one-time setup, right? Typically in the beginning of the project, we will do that.
Correct. This is a one-time setup and it works at instance level. Okay, for one instance you have to do one time. That would be applicable for any country. This is instance level setup. Now you could see financial status is not enabled. This is how you will see in the fresh instance when you are working for your client. Then what you have to do? Click on opt-in features. Then you have to first enable financials, so that inside of the financials, which applications you are going to implement for your client, those you can enable. So first enable financials. So when you enable financials, by default you will get general ledger application. You don't have a choice of choosing or not choosing general ledger. Without general ledger, there is no finance process can be handled. Okay, general ledger application is mandatory irrespective of which application you are going to use. So after enabling the financials, you have to select which applications you are going to implement. So we are going to implement financials. In financials offering, which applications or say which options we are going to implement to client, that you have to choose. Anyway, general ledger will get by default along if you choose financials. And supplier invoice processing is nothing but payables. If you are going to implement payables application for your client, enable payables. Expenses, it's a separate application which we call as fusion expense. Okay, so if you are going to implement a fusion expense, okay, you have to enable expense option. You notice here we selected, one second, we selected supplier invoice processing. By default you will get supplier, payables, payments, cash management and banking. If you are going to use payables application, supplier invoice processing is nothing but payables. If you are going to use payables application, by default you will get access to cash management application also. Separately you don't need to select. So you can select expense if you are going to implement. If you are going to implement fixed assets, enable it. And if you are going to implement receivables application, you have to enable customer invoice processing. Customer invoice processing is nothing but receivables. You have to enable it. Okay. Along with that, if you are going to implement revenue management cloud services, you can just enable revenue management. Okay. You have to enable revenue management. And if you are going to implement intercompany, those you can enable. So even if you enable everything, there is no issue. Whatever you want to implement, those you can implement by enabling. Okay. So you don't face any issues. Just better you can enable just everything like what you have as a part of financial. Reality, what you are going to implement, you can enable. When you are practicing, just you can select whatever you require. Here almost we enable revenue intercompany. This is how just you can enable. This is how we have to enable the offering and option. So offering is financials. Inside of the financials, what are the different applications we have? Those ideally we are calling as options. So from this page, you can enable the offerings and options. And here you can notice futures and all. So when you are going to implement financials, by default, as a part of finance, what are the features we have, those we will get as a part of this application. On top of it, there will be choice of choosing or not choosing some additional features for financials. You can click on features against the financial offering. By default, you could say as those are enabled, but if you want to manage those as required and not required, you will have a flexibility. So GRC, governance, risk complaints, etc. These are the various public sector. If your client is public sector, the relevant options you can set. So most of the features are enabled. If anything else you require as per your country, country and the features what they want to use, accordingly you can select. But by default, you don't need to touch this, not required. Just enable the offerings and options as per client business requirement. Anything else need to be enabled here. You can come back and you can enable at any point of time. So in the same way for each and every application also, you have a certain features which system will allow you, but ideally not required. If at all anything is required, we will discuss and we'll do it. But by default, you have to enable the offerings and options. So this is what you have to understand. Now you can just click on done. Now you could see the status as enabled for financials. It's enabled. Now this financials offering and inside what are the options you have, you will be able to select at the time of implementation project creation. The same way, here we have a procurement offering. Select procurement offering. Click on opt-in features. As a procurement, we have various applications. We have a purchasing, we have a procurement contract, supplier portal. You see here all those. As a part of procurement, we have a purchasing application. Self-service procurement is nothing but iProcurement. And as a part of this, you could say supplier portal is one application, sourcing is another application, procurement contracts. So these all applications are part of procurement solution or say procurement offering. So this is also already enabled since it's a test environment. So this is how we have to enable offerings and options based on the scope of the implementation. Okay, who has to do this? Anyone can do that. Who knows how to enable, they can do it. No need to think this should be done by project manager. Okay, this is not project management. Within the system, project creation to complete the setups, ideally this should be done by consultants only. Project managers never involved in this. If they know Oracle Fusion application, how to enable the offerings and options, how to create the implementation project in the Fusion, yes, they can do. Anyone can do who knows it. Okay, ideally we as a consultant, we do all these things. Any questions here, please?
Hello.
Yeah, Lakshman.
Yeah.
One question here, like if you are going for SCM modules, so there are multiple offerings and options. So like based upon the offerings selected, the license fees varies, or is it like
Correct,
for all the SCM modules?
Based on the offerings and options you subscribe, you have to subscribe separately, then only you can use. Okay,
Lakshman, actually, you know, this offering is from this Oracle, like, you know, I'm a little confused, like, you know, from CBEL or something, as you say it, like, you know, this Fusion, they are taking the, like, who Fusion, they are saying who is the best.
I got it. I got your doubt. The point is, the legacy may be CBEL or PeopleSoft, etc. Okay. When you are working on the Fusion, it is directly you have to see as a Fusion. To understand the background, we discuss those points. Now everything is under Fusion only.
So it is from Oracle offering or
Oracle only. Oracle only. All from Oracle.
Because at the beginning you said they are taking best from each and everyone, right?
Each and everyone, before that they acquired, they purchased all the solutions from other vendors. Now all are owned by Oracle. Now whatever you pick as per in Fusion, everything from Oracle.
It's okay. Clear. Because I was having doubt, how they are communicating, integrating.
Lakshman, like for example, if they want to have a shared services, like we want to implement only the iSuppliers, and we already have ABS other applications. And in those scenarios, I had to enable GL because GL is a mandatory. In that scenarios, like is GL will be a shared service or is
Shared. GL is a shared. Correct.
But still, there is no option of a shared service in this, or is it just enable? That's it.
When you enable any offering or options, Oracle already made the dependency which what should be shared service for what. For example, you are going to implement only financials. The HCM should become shared because employees' information is required, right?
Yes.
So when you are working, if you are going to implement only SCM, minimum you need basic setups from finance, ledger, etc. So finance will become shared for SCM. So this is
that means
design the product. We no need to select. Okay, see for example, say for example here, if you go and enable this procurement. If you go and enable procurement, within the procurement, so along with the procurement, if you are going to implement P2P cycle, they give an option here itself. Okay, again, you need to go to finance and to enable only a separate application called as payables application. They given here itself. When you enable payables, invoice processing payables, again, you need to go and enable cash management separately. So within the offering, these offering related applications can involve in which business process, that process is connected to which other application, those also they given. Even if they don't give some other options, automatically system will allow us to access those even if you don't enable. That's how we have options. Yeah.
So in order to have a minimum setup, we need to enable or not to enable. Means, for example, shared services here, without even enabling, can I do the GL setup?
Yeah.
Because I am not going to use a GL.
I got it. Without enabling, you can do. Reason is that dependency setups are included. Oracle is including within the same offering. Now I'll enable only financials. When I'm doing the setups, system will allow us to create the user also, employee. Within the financial only, they are giving user creation. Reality that is belongs to HCM. You don't need to enable HCM, but still you are working on the finance, you will be able to create employees. Yeah, that's how they are including the dependency tasks for which offering the tasks are dependency, irrespective of the task are available from which offering and the options they are including by default.
Lakshman?
Yep.
Morning.
Please go ahead.
When I create new user, I want to give him the role, not for the end user. I want to disable the setup and some roles from the end user. How can we do it?
No. See, so what we are discussing, this is for consultant. For end users, we have a separate roles.
Yeah.
Now with
how can you do it through the public?
Sorry?
If you create new end user, you want to remove some roles from the end user, just like give him label.
Which roles the user is required, you can assign, or else the role related permissions you can modify and you can assign. All you can do. We'll come to know that part very soon, because we have to get ready with the setups, then only we can test and we can see those. We will cover all those given in the course curriculum. Yep.
Okay.
It's a consultant user only. When you say end user should involve in the recording the transactions. We not yet ready with the setups, so that we cannot see now. We'll come to know all those.
Okay.
So Lakshman, so Lakshman, like if when implementing SEM modules, like if finance are shared, so like within the finance, like the GL, some setups might be mandatory, but for others, for example, like fixed assets, if I just take the fixed assets user, so the license fee is very easy, and Oracle will know that this organization is using fixed assets module as well, and they'll charge a fees automatically, or like how it will be?
No. First, you have to take the subscription. You have to pay, and you should start using. That's it.
So directly, if I start using fixed assets,
They will
app
trace.
might charge me.
They will trace, and there'll be penalty.
I see. Okay.
The instances are managed by Oracle only in case of cloud. You are not maintaining in your own server, right? So everything is managed and controlled by Oracle. Easily they can track.
Okay.
Yep. Fine, done. So we have seen how to enable the offerings and options. Now we'll go and see how to create the implementation project. It's very simple. So now just click on done. We are in the same page. How we navigated to this page? You have to click on username, click on setup and maintenance. We will land in this page. So from here only, we navigated to offerings by clicking on actions. Now go to task list. Click on task list. Click on manage implementation projects. Click on manage implementation projects. From this page, we can create our implementation project. So to create implementation project, click on create. So by default, system is taking the default project name. We can change how we require. We'll say one ERP. Of course, we created project as one user as one ERPTREE. Let's take the name as one ERP. Take one ERP as a client name. The same name system is defaulting as a code. The same it is defaulting as a description. And project status is not started. Just we are creating. And by default, system is assigning the project to the current user. From which user we are creating the project, system is assigning. You no need to think on the point the project need to be assigned to project manager. Okay, no, it can be assigned to any user, doesn't make any difference. And start date, the tentative start date and finish date to complete the setups. Okay, this is not for entire project. To complete the setup, to start and to complete, what is the duration? So we are going to start the project today. So we are planning to complete the setups by 15th. So this is a tentative schedule. You can change the finish date at any point of time. After this 15th also, system will allow you to do the setups. Doesn't have any controls. Just for information purpose only we are going to provide. And it would be useful for tracking. You are supposed to complete all the setups by so and so date. These many setups are overdue. Okay, not yet completed. All the information you can get. Fine. So if you want to change the person name, you can change here. If you want to assign this project to a different user, yes, you can do that. Say for admin 1. Okay, this is how you can assign the project to different user. By default, system would pick the user from which user you are creating the project. So we'll go with one ERPTREE only. So select and say okay. Now click on next. The next step is we have to select offerings and options into our project. Okay, which offerings and options we are going to implement for our client, those we have to include. Here we have a financials. Here what are the offerings you are able to see here? These all are already enabled. If offerings are enabled, you can see here. If you don't enable, you don't find here. We are able to see financials here. The reason this is already enabled. Now let's include financials into our project. So here include, once you enable include, it will open within the financials what exact options you want to include. So if you include financials, automatically you will get general ledger. That is the reason they are not displaying the general ledger to select or not to select. So select supplier invoice processing, nothing but payables, expense, fixed assets, receivables, collections, so revenue management, intercompany, budget. Okay. So this all you can enable. If you want to perform the analysis, BA analysis, you can enable the relevant other sub options also. So you want to analyze the data related to fixed assets, general ledger, account receivables, employees, etc. So this all you can include. Now click on Save and Open Project. For all selected offerings and options, system will create the task list. To implement this payables, receivables, fixed assets, expense, all these applications, what setup need to be created, all the setup related task system will create within the project. It takes some time, we have to wait, because it has to generate the tasks for all these applications into our project definition. May take 1 or 2 minutes time also, sometimes we have to wait. Meantime, any questions, please? Yeah, it created project. Now you can see the project here. This is a project name, this is a project code. Okay, this is the project is assigned to this resource. This is start date, this is a finish date. Within our project, we selected only financials. Okay, at any point of time, this basic information you can change except code. You can click on edit. Okay, just click on edit. You will be able to change the basic information except project code. The name you can change at any point of time, but code you cannot change. Description you can change. You can change the status of the project. Now we are going to work on the project. You can say in progress. The entire project is status is in progress. Assignment you can change, and you can change the dates. Say save and close. This is how you can update. And here is the project. Now we discussed system would create the task list. Those you can see inside of this financials. Expand this financials folder. Inside you can see the subfolders. So one folder for invoice and payment configuration, that means it's a payable related, this is expense related, this is asset related, this is receivables, revenue, cash management, collections. For each application we have a subfolder. If you want to complete the payable setups, you have to expand payables. Again, within that we have some subfolders. Again, you can expand the folder. Within that we have a setup. Okay, these are the setups which you have to complete. We'll discuss and do it, but just for information, this is how you can do it. Instead of verifying like this one by one, directly you can search for the task. If you know what setup you have to complete, say you want to create the calendar. What is the purpose of calendar? Why we have to create? How we have to create? That we'll discuss very soon. But just for our information, if you want to create calendar, you can search from here. So you want to create accounting calendar. Okay, no issues. We'll discuss about what is the meaning of accounting calendar. Okay, just here to search, I'm using the term. You can ignore it, the meaning. Here there is a task called as manage accounting calendar. Directly you can click on this task. And here, if you follow the navigation, this is the navigation you have to follow. First, you have to go to financials. From there, you have to go to folder called as this. From there you have to go to this subfolder. From that you have to go to this subfolder. From there you have to go to define calendars. There you have a task called as manage accounting calendars. This is a big task, right? That is the reason simply you can search, and if you want to create accounting calendar, you can click on this go to task icon. It will take us to accounting calendar creation page. We can create it. So you no need to follow the navigation. What you want to do, if you know, you can search and easily you can navigate to the page directly. Otherwise, if you want to create accounting calendar, it's a big task. Okay. So you have to go through this entire navigation path. It's time taking and you may not remember. So that is the reason they given the search field within the project. What are the setups are available? Any setup you can search and find from here. So this is what we have to understand. Now our project also in this list. Okay, one ERP. The projects list. See, you can click on the username. Click on setup and maintenance. Click on the task list. Click on manage implementation projects. Here is our project. Or else if you want to navigate to our project directly, click on overview. If you click on overview, but this user, okay, this user is associated with how many projects, those projects only system will show. Just click on overview. Now system is showing only that project. So as of now, there is no status tracking. We didn't update anything. Who is working, to whom which task is assigned, the in progress or completed, etc., etc. We didn't update. Otherwise, we'll be able to track the progress of the project. It shows not started, in progress, completed, etc., etc. Who are the resources are working, everything it will display. Okay, this all we'll see in the tomorrow session. How to assign offerings options to the resource, how to update the status, how we can track, etc. This all we'll see in the tomorrow session. So we're done for today. Okay, if you have any questions, you can stay back. Otherwise, no further discussions we have. We're done for today.
One quick question
right.
While you are here. Just missed the navigation to assign offerings to the project. So where is that button? Once you create
the video, right? You will get the video.
Okay.
Just go through it. But anyway, you can see that. See here. Click on create.
Lakshman, actually,
one second. Let me answer. Somebody asked the question, right? I am answering. Click on create.
Okay. Yeah.
Then click on next.
Okay. Next button. Okay. All right. Sorry about it. Just missed that. Okay. Thank you.
I can understand. Okay.
Yeah, just get it.
Next. Because see, now in the beginning, everything is new, right? So it, definitely that happens. So now you can.
Yeah,
right? You can include. That's it. Done.
Yeah.
Please. Please. Any other questions, please, from anyone?
Yeah, Lakshman, actually, suppose I have a subscription for the account payable. Okay.
Okay.
Account payable is linked with the, SCM.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So this, how will, do the setup for SCM? SCM will give the privilege,
No. 1 second. You subscribed only for payables.
Yes.
Payables is linked with the many applications, not only SCM, for other application, projects, etc. Also, it's linked. Because it's linked, yes. You don't allow. You can use only payables. If you want to use SCM also, because it is linked, you take the subscription for SCM, then only you can use. But to you use the payables application, you need ledger and all. I am discussing this point with you only. I am not with others. Others may not be aware of these points. That is the reason let's discuss. Okay. So if you want to use the payables, you need ledger. Ledger is part of general ledger application. That you can use. In general ledger application, you can create the ledger, primary ledger, and you can use it. No other features you can use from general ledger because it is connected with so and so applications. Oracle won't allow. It is connected. If you want, pay and use. Because just it is connected, they don't allow.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other question?
Lakshman, there is one revenue management and receivable configuration.
Correct.
What's the difference between that?
That is separate application. Revenue management cloud services. Okay. So if you want to build some very complex policies, how you recognize the revenue in your organization, the scenario, you can use that separate application. Okay. I think see audio. Don't try to speak. We are getting noise. Any questions from others?
Yeah, Lakshman, one question here, the offerings and options, whatever we are using, And does Oracle have a check auditor only on production instance, or does it have a check on dev instances as well? Like if I just want to do testing,
only production,
but not in production.
Tester, dev, you can just play with that. Oracle don't bother about it. Anyway, you are not going to take the advantage from that, right? By testing in this production, you should not use.
Yeah, okay.
Production means the real usage, right? Real usage, but you don't have permission for that. Mr. Sri, you can go on mute, please. You are getting noise. Sri, please go on mute. Kept everyone on mute. If anybody wants to speak, you can unmute and speak.
Lakshman, when you give the access to the instance to do the practice all this?
Sorry?
When you give the access to us to practice this?
The people, I mean, they'll get access once they complete the payment formalities. Paid with around 7-8 members who already paid yesterday.
Okay.
So that you can keep in touch with the team regarding that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I want to do practice now, like as you said. Like,
yeah, you can talk to the team. You can get access.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? Seems no questions. That's all for tomorrow same time. Good night.